Hello friends, this is Hedda, welcome back to my channel. It's time for what I consider to be the most exciting video of the year, my new bullet journal setup. It just so happens that my B5 notebook is completely full, so it's time to move to a new notebook for 2024. This video is kindly sponsored by Notebook Therapy and I'll talk more about them throughout the video. I've never been so conflicted about which notebook to choose for my next bullet journal, so I actually had my patrons help a little. From the thumbnail you already know which notebook I chose, but I was actually between a few different notebooks. One of them is this cute little green notebook from Notebook Therapy. This is their original size, so it is smaller than an A5. It also has less pages than a standard A5 notebook. I have used an original size notebook like this before and it lasted me around half a year. I also wondered about this Tuckty notebook. This is an A5 size. This one has thinner paper, so it's not 160 GSM, but it's still thick enough for everything that I use my journals for. I've used Tuckty notebooks before and I was really happy with it. I also have this bullet journal notebook. This was their official bullet journal color for 2022, I think. I've actually never used a Leuchtturm notebook before, but I remember when I started bullet journaling in 2017, the Leuchtturm notebooks were the most popular. I think they're still popular, it's just more of a variety now than it was back then. I did also consider this Leela Journals notebook. This is one of my latest notebook purchases. These came out earlier this fall. It's really pretty and the paper seems really great. The linen is super soft and I really like this one. But I actually didn't end up choosing any of those notebooks. In 2023, I've used a really big notebook, this B5. It was my first time using a B5. I wanted to try it. I used it for an entire year because the pages are so big I could often do a whole week on just one page, so 2 weeks on one spread. It's gotten really heavy and bulky, so I kind of wanted to pivot in the opposite direction from this notebook for 2024. And it just so happened that I had these 3 Traveler's notebook sized notebooks from Notebook Therapy sitting in my bookshelf. I haven't used this size of notebook since 2019, and back then I used a Traveler's Company Traveler's notebook, like a real Traveler's notebook. These are kind of in between a regular notebook and a Traveler's notebook, I would say. Compared to other Notebook Therapy notebooks like the A5s, B5s, original sized, these ones actually have more of a cream colored paper, so that will be a little bit different this year. I'm very used to the very bright white paper, so I'm curious to see how I will like this. The dots seem to be the same as in their other notebooks, and they also have the back pocket, so other than the color of the paper, it's all pretty much the same. Notebook Therapy has sent me these notebooks throughout 2023, and in the end, I just happened to have one for spring, one for summer, and one for fall in terms of themes. I don't know if I'll need to use 2 or 3 of these for 2024, but with the help of my patrons, I decided to start with the pink one. This way, regardless of whether I use 2 or 3, they will still be in order, kind of, if we think of the seasons. I'm really excited to be using this notebook, and I think that my setup turned out really cute. Thank you so much to Notebook Therapy for supplying me with these notebooks and for sponsoring this video. If you ever want to make a purchase from Notebook Therapy, you can use my code MOCHIBUJO10 for 10% off. And now let's get into my 2024 bullet journal setup. These notebooks are very small. It's only 10 centimeters wide and 19.5 centimeters long. I usually skip this first page where you're supposed to write your name, but I don't always use it. And then on the next page, which is this weird page that's kind of connected to the first one because of the binding on the notebook, I decided to do a little cover page. I wanted to use this sticker from Sybil in Maynet. It has really pretty mirror effects, and then I have this washi tape set from Notebook Therapy. This one was in their Lucky Bag this year. It has this really pretty stained glass pet tape, which is probably my favorite from the entire set. Notebook Therapy made me promise not to do a full unboxing of the Lucky Bag until after Christmas, so I have filmed a little unboxing, and if everything goes according to plan, I will be posting about it after Christmas. I am not a big fan of doing one theme for the entire yearly setup. Instead, I do a different theme on each spread because personally, I think that that's more fun. And considering that these are spreads that I'm going to be looking at consistently throughout the year or throughout however long I use this notebook for, I don't want it all to be the same theme because it can get a little bit boring. So for this cover page, I of course made everything else match the sticker, and I just wrote 2024 on it, just a very simple title. The watercolor looking stickers are from Japan, from a company called Mindwave, and I just used a blue and gray fine liner for the title and some sparkles. I feel like I go back and forth with this spread, like every other notebook has it or doesn't have it, but this spread will be an index. I have gotten comments before that I should call it a table of contents rather than an index, because an index usually goes at the back of a book while the table of contents go in the front. But the title index is just so much shorter and looks so much nicer, so I'm gonna keep calling it an index even though it is technically not the correct term. Throughout this video, you'll see me use a lot of different products, a lot of different washi tapes, stickers, papers, and I will put links to everything that I have links for in the description box. So if you're wondering about something, definitely check the description box first. I will also have any discount codes if I have them. And if it's not in the description box, feel free to ask in the comments. I might not have links for everything, but if I don't have a link, I'll try to write the name of the company that makes the product. I'm keeping my index very simple. I'm just decorating a little bit around the title and then just a little bit along the tops and the bottoms of the spread. These traveler size notebooks are really fun because when you open them up, it's a perfect square almost. So the layouts are definitely a little bit different than when you use an A5 notebook, and I'm actually looking forward to challenging myself to make spreads in this format because it will look a little bit different. When setting up this notebook, I actually got out my old Traveler's Notebook bullet journals from 2019 to see how I did my spreads then, because the format is so different. And so for my future logs, I actually decided to directly copy my future log spreads from 2019 into this notebook because it worked so well back then. In my B5 notebook, I could fit the entire future log onto one spread, but since this notebook is significantly smaller, I am taking 3 spreads for my future log, and I'm doing 4 months on each spread. I'm dividing the pages by doing 1 line down the middle of the spread and then 2 lines that will be above and below the little calendars. Then I'm writing the months on top of the calendars. I used a sepia colored fine liner for the numbers of the weeks, and then I just used my Muji gel pen to write all the little calendars. For the past couple of years, I've actually used calendar stickers for my future logs because writing out all of the calendars takes a while and it's so easy to make a mistake. But for this particular layout, I actually thought that it would look nicer if they were handwritten, so that's what I did. And then I used a Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen to hand letter the first 3 letters of each month on top of each calendar. And if you compare this spread to my 2019 Traveler's Notebook setup spread, it actually looks almost exactly the same except for the decorations. And for the decorations, I decided to use this floral pet tape. I got this from Journal Say. I'm pretty sure you can find it on other websites too. I think this is one of those AliExpress pet tapes. I used my X-Acto knife to cut out the shapes on a cutting mat before peeling them off. One of my patrons actually suggested I do this because I usually use my scissors to cut out the shapes and then I have to peel off the backing, and it's just a lot of mess and the little plastic pieces just stick to everything. So I tried cutting the designs out of the tape on a cutting mat and it actually worked really well, so I will keep doing this. I just placed them along the bottom and along the top and just layered them a little bit so that it would look like one cohesive design, even though they're all separate stickers. I like pet tape because it is transparent, so you don't really see the sticker edge when you look at them. And because of that, it was really easy to layer them nicely. And then I just used my scissors to cut off the excess that went over the edge of the paper. And I think that this looks really great for the first 4 months of the year. I think these are cherry blossoms, so it does feel fitting for the spring. Since I have these 3 future log spreads, I tried to theme them a little bit differently. So this first one is spring themed, the second one is summer themed, and then the third one is fall themed. No winter, I guess, but that's okay. So I did the exact same thing on the spread. I used a 0.5 fine liner for all of the lines. I had drawn these in pencil first just to make sure that I got it right because I don't want to make any mistakes. I didn't bother with a ruler though because I don't actually think it looks bad with a little bit of a wobbly line. It looks more organic, kind of like it. I mean, this is a homemade planner after all. I think people tend to use future logs a little bit differently, but the way I use it is that I write down any future appointments or events like birthdays, tax deadlines, stuff like that, holidays. And because of that, I have the space below each calendar where I can just write down those dates. They're not really in order. I do tend to write the birthdays at the top though, and then I have a little space and then I write down any events or holidays, stuff like that. And then when I set up for a new month in my journal, I can look at the future log and then I can move those events or dates over into my monthly calendar. To decorate the spread, I used the pet tapes that were in the Hinoki Into the New Year stationery set from Notebook Therapy. This is probably one of my favorite stationery sets from this year. It has so many pretty components. One of them is this floral lace pet tape. I used my scissors to kind of cut along the lace so that the pet tape wouldn't cover up too much of the monthly headers. Since it is a pet tape, it is transparent though, so I don't really have to do this, but I chose to do it because I think that it looks nicer. And then I just cut off the excess with my scissors. If I were to use the same pet tape on the bottom, I would have probably used the other half of what I cut out. But for the bottom, I actually decided to layer a bunch of the flowers from the other pet tape that was in the Hinoki Into the New Year set. This one has a bunch of different flowers, and I thought that it would look really nice if I layered them. It would kind of be like a field of wildflowers, which is exactly what I think about when I think about summer. So I cut out a bunch of these with my X-Acto knife. It did take a while, but I tried to cut a bunch all at once and then paste them into the notebook. I also tried to vary which flowers I put down where so that there would be an even distribution of all of the colors, because there's a lot of yellow and blue and white and pink in here. Notebook Therapy kind of has 2 different lines of stationery collection. They have the Tsuki line and then they have the Hinoki line. The Hinoki line seems to be a little bit more of a luxury line. It has more pet tapes with more elegant designs, whereas the Tsuki line is usually a bit more doodly maybe, and it has more washi tapes than pet tapes. So the art style is a little bit different, but they both have some really nice collections and I really like both of them. The Hinoki line is a little bit more expensive, but I like that the Hinoki line has these stationery boxes. I got the first one that they released back when they first launched the Hinoki lines, and then now this Into the New Year set. And I like that it comes with ephemera and washi tapes and stamps and scrap paper. It just has like everything that you would need to journal with it. It's also a really great gift set, I think. So if you want to give someone a really nice Christmas gift, for example, I would really recommend the Into the New Year set. I love how summery this spread turned out. I think it's perfect for the months that it is for. As a final detail, I had to add in the numbers of the weeks, of course. Those are very important here in Norway, and I used the sepia fine liner again just to differentiate it from the actual dates of the months. And then we can move on to the third and the final future log spread in the setup. I know that these are all the same and it's maybe not that interesting to see me make the same spread 3 times, but the decorations are different on each spread. And I didn't want to skip over these because the future log is such an important part of my yearly setup. Not everyone uses them. Some people prefers kind of a year at a glance spread where you just have the calendars for the month but not really any room to write down anything. Some people like to do both. I think it's important to find a system that works for you, and if you haven't tried a future log before, maybe it's time to try it in your next bullet journal. I also want to say that you don't have to start your bullet journal in January. I think I say this in every new notebook setup, that you should just start your bullet journal whenever you feel like it. If you wait for a certain date to start it, you might lose interest by the time that date comes around. For me, it has kind of turned into setting up a notebook for January because I make YouTube videos. But before I started to seriously work on my YouTube channel, I would just set up my new notebook whenever the previous one was full. I didn't really think about whether it would last me a certain number of months or a whole year or a half year or any of that. So I have started notebooks in April, I have started them in November, I have started them in August. It just depended on when the previous one was full. But if you want to start a new one now, January is as good a time as any to start a new one. A lot of people feel like the new year offers a new chance to get organized or start new habits or just be in that mindset that you're starting something new. So I do think that January is a good time to start as well. As you can see, I went for a fall theme for the spread. September, October, and November are very much fall months here in Norway. For the top of the spread, I went with this pet tape that is from the Tsuki Maple Journey washi tape set from Notebook Therapy. It has some falling maple leaves and some gold details. I think it's really pretty. For the bottom though, I went with some dark pink, a little bit orange flowers. This is another pet tape that I got from Journal Say, and they are very large, so it didn't take that much to fill the entire bottom of the spread. I also used some designs from another Hinoki pet tape. This is the Into the Fall pet tape, and I just cut out a few pieces that were more fall themed for the bottom and it just kind of filled in the gaps. I think that this one turned out really pretty as well. I like the little fall details. And I love that each of the future logs have the same layout but different decorations, which makes it easy to differentiate them even though the main layout is exactly the same on all 3 spreads. I also think that I have enough space for each month to write down everything that I need to write down. So overall, very happy with my future logs. And now we can move on to the next spread, which is going to be a different thing on each side really. The left side is going to be my word of the year, and then the right side is going to be my 2024 goals. I swear it's a complete coincidence that this spread was pink in my previous bullet journal and also pink this time. I do have a lot of pink stationery and I tend to gravitate towards pink, as you can see from this notebook being pink and my previous bullet journal also being pink. I like to do a word of the year spread because I think that it's a good time to reflect on how you want the next year to be and what word you want to define your year. I actually had a teacher once who wrote a word for all of us for the next year as kind of an encouragement. It was supposed to be something that reminded her of us and also something that we could take into the new year. And I remember that the word she chose for me was smile, which I'm to this day not sure if she thought that I smiled a lot or didn't smile enough, but that was the word that she chose. And since then I've kind of chosen a word for myself for each year. So on the left side here, I'm gonna do a word of the year. It's going to be mostly decorations, since one word doesn't take up that much space. The big sticker that I'm using on the spread is from Marigo Nasuli. It's one of her pink witches. I think it's really pretty. But then for the rest of the spread, I'm using some washi tapes and stamps from Notebook Therapy. Notebook Therapy actually has a lot of cherry blossom themed collections. They usually do one each year, sometimes even two because of their Hinoki set. So these are from the Tsuki line, and they're all from the newest one, which I think was called Sakura Breeze. So there are these little washi stickers shaped like flower petals, some washi tapes, and this stamp shaped washi tape, which I really like, and I used one for each of my 3 goals for 2024. The stamp you saw me use on the left side is from the cherry blossom themed Hinoki stamp set from earlier this year. I am actually not really a very goal-oriented person. I do tend to make little goals for the upcoming year, but it's not really something that I think that much about. In recent years, my goals have very much been centered around my little shop and my Patreon because it is how I make all of my money. So it has very much been business-oriented goals, which I think is fine. And everyone's goals will look different. Some people will probably have more family-oriented goals or hobby-oriented goals, academic-related goals, and that's fine. I try to make my goals as specific as possible because with very broad goals, it's going to be very hard to decide whether you've reached them or not, or like what is encompassed into this goal. What you can do though is to have a broader goal and just have smaller goals nestled underneath this big goal. I like to take the end of the year holidays to kind of think about my goals for the new year, so I'm not writing down any of the goals in this video, but I have the sections ready to go. And then for my word of the year, this time I chose imagine. My word of the year for 2023 was courage. And I think that that was a really good word for the year of 2023. For 2024 though, I'm going with imagine, and that is also mostly related to my business. I want to imagine where it can take me and think more broadly about what it is and what it could be, and imagine what my life can look like at this time next year. I want to also think about where I can take my YouTube channel in this new year. I do make a lot of monthly videos, so sometimes I feel a little bit stuck in the grind, like it just keeps going and I have to make the same videos over and over again. I mean, please don't misunderstand, I love making the videos that I make, but I want to try a little bit harder to kind of break up the pattern a little bit. This spread is going to be about health. I made almost the exact same spreads in my 2023 bullet journal and they worked really well for me, so I'm just adapting them to the smaller format. On the left side of the spread, I am using this Tsuki Mori washi tape set to decorate. This is actually one of my favorite washi tape sets from Notebook Therapy. I really like it. And this pet tape is very simple, but it has some forest elements in greens and orange and yellow, and I really like it. This page will actually be my period tracker for 2024. I have made it this way for years and years. For as long as I can remember making period trackers, they have looked like this. It is for an entire year. There is one dot for each day, and then I will just make the dot a little bit bigger for the days that I have my period, and this way I can see it all on one spread and I can see the pattern or see if the pattern is changing or anything that I need to look out for. So this is really helpful. I make these in every new bullet journal that I set up because it is one of the spreads that I really like and use a lot. I made the title just really simple, kind of like my index spread. It is looking a little bit sloppy, I think, but it works. I also cut out a few more pieces from the Into the New Year pet tape from Notebook Therapy that I used for my summer future log spread. I placed them along the pet tape to just make it look a little bit fuller and kind of filled in empty spaces around the spread so that there was less white space. The right page is going to be an overview of my doctor's visits, so like my dentist, my GP, any doctors that I go to see kind of regularly. I don't go to the doctor that often, but you know, we all have to go sometimes. I have these memo pads from Notebook Therapy that were in the Into the New Year set. These are really great because they all have these perforated edges, so each sheet can be split into 3 actually. So there is an inner frame, there is the middle frame, and then the outer frame as well. And I'm using the inner ones. I'm using one for each section. So I have 3 sections on the spread for the 3 different types of doctors that I see regularly throughout the year. I made the title the same as on the period tracker just so that it would look cohesive. And I used the same washi tapes from the Tsuki Mori set as decorations for just a little pop of green. I really like these green colors. All of the little paper scraps that you see me using here are from old books, either ones that I purchased at the used bookstore here, or they are pages that you guys have sent to me in pen pal letters. It's so fun to get them from you guys because they are in different languages and stuff, and I really like that. It's also a very simple detail, but it goes well with most colors, I think, so I really like using them. I played around a little bit with which frame should go where. I drew up 3 boxes with my sepia fine liner. And the way that I'm going to be using the spread is that I write down the name and address of the doctor inside of the little frames, and then in the main section I write down the dates and reasons for appointments. This has worked really well for me in 2023. It's nice to have it all laid out on one spread so I can quickly check that to see the last time I went and for what reason. It's just really nice to have it all in one place and somewhere where I can easily find it. So once I had decided where to put each of the little frames, I glued them in with a regular glue stick. This one is Scotch. I've tried a few different glue sticks, but the selection here in Norway isn't that great, so I just went for the most common one that I could find at my local bookstore. And then we are moving on to the next spread. This one is going to be an overview of my pen pals, their names, addresses, when I receive a letter from them and when I send a letter to them. I had this spread in my previous journal as well. It's really helpful to have all of their addresses in one place. And then if there are any changes, I can easily make that change. For the decoration of the spread, I went with the Love Lock collection washi tapes from Notebook Therapy. This is a collection that I really like a lot. I think it was meant as their Valentine's collection for 2023, but it's very muted and has some vintage elements and I really like it. The spread is actually very simple and I'm just using the top and the bottom of the spread for decoration, and then the rest is going to be tables where I write the pen pals addresses and all of that stuff. So I'm just starting with the decorations. On the bottom I just did a simple strip of washi tape on both sides. And then at the top on the left side, I have the pen pals title, some washi tape, and I also cut out some pieces of the pet tape in the Love Lock set and used them as stickers. I like to do this with the pet tapes from the Tsuki washi tape sets from Notebook Therapy. For the table, I am splitting each page into 3. That means I have room for 6 pen pals here. In the biggest sections to the left, I'm writing their name and their address, and then I will have one section for incoming mail and one section for outgoing mail. I will admit that 2023 has probably been my worst pen pal year ever. I've sent very few letters, and you will have noticed that on my channel as well. There has been less pen pal videos. It has mostly been because I was traveling a lot, but also because I just couldn't find the time for it. It was one of those hobbies that I just had to put aside for a bit because I was very busy with other things like my shop and my Patreon and other videos on my YouTube channel, and so it just kind of fell through a little bit. I do want to make more in 2024 though, and I still have my PO box open to anyone who wants to send me a letter, but I make no promises that I'll be able to reply. because I do get a lot of mail and I prioritize my pen pals before any other mail. In my 2023 journal, I actually had a second pen pal spread for incoming mail to my PO box, just so that I could keep track of which letters I had replied to and which I hadn't. But I decided to not do that this time, just because I am not making the same effort to reply to PO box mail. I know that sounds really bad, but there's just too much coming in for me to be able to reply to all of them. I do read every single letter though, and I try to post pictures of the envelopes over on my Instagram when they come in, and my PO box address is in the description box of every single one of my videos, so if you're looking for it, that's where you can find it. It is open for anyone to send a letter to if they want to, and like I said, I do read every single one, even though I am not able to reply to every letter. In this top bar here, I just wrote name/address and then in and out. These are just simple little headers. I don't really need them because I know what goes where, but it does look nice. And now we can move on to the next spread I'm setting up. This next one is going to be 2 spreads that are about the same thing, pretty much. This is going to be my YouTube calendar or YouTube planner. I did make a spread like this in my previous journal, although it looked exactly like my future log, except it was only for YouTube videos. This one is going to look a little bit different, This one is going to look a little bit different. I used some washi tape here from Paper Monogatari that I really like, and then the stars of the spread is going to be these stickers from Izobova. I am probably not pronouncing that right, but Izobova is located in Poland, and she gifted me these sticker books recently, and I was so pleasantly surprised to find a YouTube/work from home/content creator section in the sticker book, so I wanted to use those for the spread. And I'm also using my own Ikigai Papier alphabet stickers for the spread to make the monthly headers. You'll see that in a bit. For the title though, I am using some paper from Notebook Therapy's junk journal. This one is bound like a notebook, but it has different sections with different types of paper. You could probably use it as a regular notebook, but the way I have used it is I just cut out pieces of paper that I want to use. And so for me, it's like a catalog of paper, and it's really convenient to just have all of those papers in one place. So for the title, I just wrote YouTube calendar with my black fine liners, and then I just cut them out with my scissors. I didn't rip them this time like I did on the other spreads. I just cut them kind of along the letters, so it's a little bit bubbly, I suppose. This is my favorite type of font to use for my headers, just because it's so easy for me to write this way. And then I just kind of built onto the spread by using the stickers from the sticker sheet and some of the washi tape, some ripped paper. I like that the Izobova stickers are very neutral in color. I mean, there are definitely a lot of red, but they're not that glaring, which I really like, because red is not one of my favorite colors, but of course it is appropriate for this YouTube calendar. The way that I use this is that I have one section for each month of the year, which is why I needed 2 spreads for this, because I couldn't fit an entire year onto just one spread. But I'm making the monthly headers with my own alphabet stickers. These are from the Light Academia collection in my sticker shop, ikigaipapier.com. I usually try to post 1 video a month, although that has definitely fallen off this fall. It started with the advent calendar that I just had so much to do that I really couldn't fit in making a whole YouTube video every week. It does take a lot of time. I think when you haven't made YouTube videos, you don't really realize how much time and effort goes into it. But for me, it was becoming impossible to do 1 per month, and also do all of the work that I had to do for my shop. So I did take a little bit of a break from YouTube videos this fall, just making the most essential ones, or the ones that I consider my like core videos, which are the bullet journal videos and the reading journal videos. But for 2024, I want to go back to making one video a week. So in this calendar spread, instead of writing the calendar for each month, I am pretty much just writing each Saturday that I want to post a video. I'm not sure why I've picked Saturday as my video day, but I have. So I just put down the dates for each Saturday of the year pretty much, and then I write the video that I think I will want to post on that day. And I write everything in pencil so that I can change it if I need to. And so this is a spread where things will change a lot and nothing is set in stone pretty much. I also found that I had a little bit of extra space at the end, so I made a little YouTube video ideas section at the bottom of the right side here, because it's nice to have a little place where I can brainstorm some ideas outside of the regular videos that I make. I think that these spreads turn out really cute and I can't wait to start filling them with ideas. This is one of those spreads that I use a lot throughout the year, so it was very important to me that it not only looked nice but also had a layout that would work well for me. It is a little bit different from the one that I had in my 2023 notebook, but the main components is the same and I have a lot of room to write for each month. It's the first time I've had like YouTube specific stickers like this, so it was really fun to use. I think I should probably get more so that I can use them in my next journals as well, because they were really cute and they really encompass what it's like to work from home and make YouTube videos. I have of course put links to the sticker book in the description box below if you're interested in checking it out. I think that what I am excited about with this traveler's notebook sized notebook is that, well, that's a mouthful. But it is that the spreads are smaller, so oftentimes I will probably need to make more spreads for the same thing. Now, for some of you that might seem like a lot of effort and maybe a little bit inconvenient, but for me, I'm actually really excited to be using more space because it means using more of my stationery. My stationery collection is fairly large and I'm really excited to keep doing lots of collages and fun stuff in this notebook and just fill it with all of my favorite stationery, and maybe I can use up a little bit more of what I have. The last spread that I am setting up in this notebook in this video is purely for fun. This is going to be a little book tracker. You might be wondering why I'm putting this in my bullet journal, since I have a whole separate reading journal, and that is simply because I love this type of spread. This is my favorite spread from my reading journal, and I just kind of wanted it in my bullet journal as well. That's the whole reason. This is a spread where I print out little book covers for all of the books that I read, and then I just glue them into the spread. My reading journal usually spans an entire year, whereas this journal probably won't go for an entire year. So this spread will only hold the books that I read while using this notebook. I used some of the R Stories washi tapes and pet tapes from Notebook Therapy here because, I mean, they are perfect for a book spread. I just decided to title the spread Book Tracker because it is tracking the books that I read. I will be making a 2024 reading journal setup video as well, so keep an eye out for that. It will probably be my next video. A lot of big videos at the end of the year. I'm very excited about it though. I think that you're really gonna like it as well. The book stickers that I used here are from Paper Monogatari. She released a bunch of pretty bookish stickers this fall, and they were perfect for the spread, of course. This is all of the spreads that I am setting up in this video. I did set up a couple more spreads after this, one of them being a little overview of monthly orders in my shop. I will show you on Instagram once the time comes, but I thought it would be fun to have little calendars where I can write down how many orders I get every day in my shop, just for fun, just for the visuals of it. I think that starting a new notebook, especially if it's in a new format like now, it really makes me think differently about spreads I already have, new spreads that I could make, just fun stuff that I can do in my notebook, and it is really fun to try different things. So there you have it. This is my entire 2024 setup, and then after this, of course, I will be setting up for each month. Here is a little flip through of all of the spreads so that we can look through all of them once more. It's really fun to see everything together like this. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you watched it all the way to the end, make sure to put a firework emoji in your comment. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please consider doing so today. I appreciate all of you guys who have watched my videos in 2023. It really means a lot to me. A big thank you to my patrons, of course, you guys are the best. And also a thank you to Notebook Therapy for sponsoring this video and for supporting my channel and my content. This video wouldn't have happened without them. Remember to use my code Mochibujo10 for 10% off your order from Notebook Therapy. I hope that you're all excited for 2024 and that you'll have a nice and calm end of 2023. Thank you so much for being here with me in 2023 and for going into 2024 together with me. I hope that you're all having a lovely day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!